Hi, I had to change the drive pulley on my Chinese mini lathe recently and searched on YouTube for a step-by-step guide. Unfortunately, I couldn't find one, so I made a record of what I did, step by step, just in case it might be useful to anyone else. First of all, a disclaimer. This video is for guidance only. It may not be the manufacturer's recommended method, and I take no responsibility for any damage or injury that may result to any persons following this guide. The video is actually a collection of still photographs, so that it is easy to pause if you want to follow my process. There is no need to take notes, as I have prepared a PDF document which can be downloaded from my website for free. Link in the comments. I had recently bought the lathe second-hand. I had set it up and used it a few times. However, a fault developed. Although the motor was working, the chuck was not turning in either direction. On removal of the end cover, I found the drive pulley had broken and the pulley could not be seen, although there was evidence of melted belt on the pulley. The lathe is badged Amadale, a company based in the United Kingdom. Amadale provide a range of spares, so I was able to purchase a CJ18 metal motor pulley and toothed belt directly from them. I'll post their website details in the comments below. Preparation. I disconnected the lathe from the main supply and placed it on a table, giving me all-round, unrestricted access. Conscious that there was a danger of losing grub screws, washers and keys, I placed the lathe on top of a white sheet and collected a range of containers to place parts in as I took it apart. This image shows the tools and equipment I used. A full list is itemized in the PDF guide. Some of it isn't necessary. For example, I have included a magnetic tool holder, as it proved invaluable to find small objects like keys and grub screws when I dropped them, and to prevent them getting lost. Dismantling. Step 1. First remove the lathe end cover, then slacken the M14 support plate nut, but don't remove it. Remove the 5mm socket head screw so that the lead shaft drive gear wheel can be removed. You may find that this is tight on the shaft, in which case see the following image. On mine, the gear wheel was tight on the shaft. At the rear of the gear, there is a bush. Using a small screwdriver, I moved this away from the gear, which allowed me to use a larger, flat-headed screwdriver to gently prise the gear wheel and its key off the shaft, rotating the gear as I edged it off. Take care not to lose the key. I like to be methodical, keep parts safe, and avoid mixing them up using the bins or whatever receptacles you have. Step 2. Remove the 4mm socket head screw and the remaining lower gear assembly. I promise not to show you me putting the parts into a separate container again, just me being a bit compulsive, but you get the picture. Step 3. Remove the M14 nut, washer and the bottom gear support bracket. Step 4. Remove the small PCB holding the Hall effect transducer. This is the RPM pickup. To do this, slacken off the round head screw and the PCB just slots off. There is no need to disconnect the wiring or electronics, as they can be held out of the way. Step 5. At this stage, I removed one of the direction change gears to provide access to a socket head screw. However, this wasn't necessary as it can be moved out of the way by operating the direction change lever. Step 6A. The castellated nut needs to be removed in order to take off the slotted disc. Ideally, a C-spanner would be used. However, I used a flat-bladed screwdriver and a mallet, which is not really recommended practice. To assist in this, the chuck needs to be prevented from moving. See the following two images. Step 6B. A large Allen key was secured in the chuck and wedged against a block of wood, resting against the splashback. Step 6C. With the chuck prevented from moving, the castellated nut was easy to remove by tapping the nut using a screwdriver and mallet. Step 7. I followed a slightly different sequence, so the image will look a little bit different to what you will see. Remove the two 6mm socket head screws, and the pulley cover can then be removed. With the pulley cover removed, you will have access to the top and bottom drive belt pulleys. However, to install a new belt and tension it, it is necessary to loosen the motor so that it can be moved. To do this, the motor cover has to be moved out of the way, as well as the control unit. Please note, these do not need to be removed, as access to the motor securing bolts can be achieved by just moving them to the side. Apologies for this photograph. To move the motor cover, first undo and remove the cable cover for the chuck guard micro switch. This is held in position by 4 crosshead screws. Then slacken off the mains cable gland nut and remove the 3 motor cover screws. The motor cover can then be maneuvered out of the way.
Now a bit with my boring voice. Undo the 4 crosshead screws. 2 are at the top and the others are underneath. The unit can then be maneuvered out of the way. If you're changing the bottom drive pulley, slacken off the grub screw at the back of the pulley and prise the pulley off the shaft. Remove the grub screw and place it in a safe location. I used the magnetic tool holder to ensure it wasn't lost. I found 2 issues with the new pulley. 1. It would not fit on the shaft, and 2. There wasn't a tapped hole for the grub screw. I used a needle file to remove burrs and gently filed enough of the key so that it fitted. Once on the shaft, I marked the pulley where the grub screw needed to be located. I then drilled the pulley using a 3.3mm drill and tapped the hole M4. Internal burrs were removed using a needle file, and the pulley was then pushed onto the shaft and secured in place using the grub screw. 2 tensioning bolts are located above the motor. These can be adjusted using 2 10mm open-ended spanners, preferably thin section. Slackening the top nuts allows the bolts to be screwed into the bottom of the headstock casting. Slacken both off by the same number of turns. The motor retaining bolts are situated behind the lead screw. These can also be slackened off using the 10mm open-ended spanners. Only slacken these off enough so that the motor can be moved. Clean off the end of the motor and headstock. Fit the belt and tension using the nuts above the motor, ensuring that it is horizontal. I have a feeling that the problem I initially incurred was because the motor was tilted. Tighten the motor retaining nuts and check the tension again. I was not sure of the recommended tension. I adjusted it so that it was tight but could be moved in about 10mm with moderate pressure. Fit the pulley end cap and the process is complete. I replaced the control unit and motor cover, removed the chuck restraint and tested it at low speed in left and right hand drive. I checked for the true running of the belt and rechecked the tension before completing the reassembly using the reverse process to the disassembly. If you have made it this far, well done. The video was intended for people about to undertake maintenance on their mini lathe for the first time, just to give them a bit of confidence. Please like and share if you find it useful. Please also comment on the artificial voice generation. Both were by 11 Labs. The first is the free version, but the voice cloning is only available through subscription. Please let me know in the comments if you have any other advice for people about to undertake this task. Thanks for watching.